Assalamu alaikum and welcome to video 3 of the Maxi skirt challenge. Last week we went over everything related to the pattern, all the pattern pieces needed, how to transfer your measurements to the pattern, the optional side pocket, and also all the elements you need to know about the pattern. This week we're going to go over how to lay the pattern out, how to cut out the fabric, and how to mark your fabric so that you can sew it together. Also, we're going to go over how to set up your sewing area so that it's easy to sew. Stay tuned. See you on the other side. According to the pattern instructions for skirt F, we will cut on the coarse grain to get the maximum width for the circle skirt. First, you lay out the front on the fold. I also cut the waistband on the fold, and I also laid out the back. Now you just pin it up in key areas so that the pattern and the fabric won't move. When cutting out the waistband, make sure that all edges match up and then pin it down so that it doesn't move. You do the same thing with the back. In the last video, we went over how to add length to the skirt to make it a full maxi skirt. So here, I'm adding length to the skirt. Instead of adding it to the pattern paper, I'm adding it directly to the fabric. So here I'm adding the side measurement for the length. And you do it in 2-inch intervals so you get the circle. Then you mark it up so that you can cut it out. I did the same thing for the center front. And when you're doing it, make sure you square up the fabric and the ruler so that it's at a right angle at the edge. I'm doing the same thing for the back. The back measurement, and I'm squaring it up and following the curve. That's the side measurement I'm adding right there. And then you blend the lines so that you can cut it out. Now all that's left to do is to cut it out. Try to cut as straight as possible. The saying goes, measure, cut, and measure again. Well, actually measure, measure, then cut. The back piece. Now I'm cutting the front piece. Now you cut the waistband. There's no notch at the center front, but I like to add a little slit so I know where it is. There's a notch, so you just slit it. Then you slit for the pleat so you know where that is. And you just slit all the notches and where the pleat line is. This is so you know how to match up the fabric when it's time to sew. This is the center back, and that's where the zipper ends. If you want to add a pocket, you can add it from the scraps of fabric that are left. You have to cut out 4. And make sure to clip the notch. Now we're cutting out the interfacing for the waistband, just to give it some stability. I'm also cutting this on the fold. Now we have to mark up the waistband so we know where the center front is and where the notches are. So I'm just laying out it full so that you can see it so I can line it up. So you line up the pattern with the fabric and you do the same slit cut with the notches. Just a little bit, no more than 1/2 inch. Now we have to turn the fabric inside out so we can mark for the pleats, so you know where to stop and start sewing. I use a pencil and mark the edge where you stop sewing for the pleat and match it up with the notch I just slit. Just use a ruler to make a straight edge. So you just put pins at the edge and you do the same thing for the other side. So you should do this for the front and the back. Now that you have all your pattern pieces cut, you should set up your sewing area with everything you need to make the sewing process as smooth as possible. You will need scissors, thread, a bobbin, seam ripper, pins, and your zipper. You will be doing a lot of pressing in between sewing, so having an iron and an ironing board set up will make sewing a whole lot easier. So in this video, we went over laying out the fabric and pattern, pinning and cutting out the pattern and fabric, marking the pattern in preparation for sewing, and setting up your sewing area. I hope you've been keeping up with the videos, but if you haven't, there's still time. Just get everything together, cut out your pattern, because next week we're going to be sewing, so you need everything. If you haven't already, go over to Zahir.com and sign up for all the downloads and information related to this challenge. Until next time, assalamu alaikum.